Justin Trudeau on the cover of the Rolling Stone. I'm Brian Lilly with the Rebel.media. By now you've heard about it. You've seen the photo. Justin Trudeau looking dreamily off into the lens of the camera, seducing it as he does. This is what Americans are seeing. If you can actually find a copy of the cover of the Rolling Stone. Who buys Rolling Stone anymore? I was talking to a bunch of young people that I work with today, and that used to be the audience for Rolling Stone. It was young people interested in pop culture and music. None of them can remember buying it, and none of them actually remember seeing it in their Facebook feeds or in their social media feeds anywhere. It's just not as relevant as it used to be. But there is Justin Trudeau once again on the cover of a major American magazine with what can only be described as a glowing piece. Now, I'm of several minds on this. On the one hand, hey, great, coverage for Canada, makes us look good. On that part, I'm kind of happy with. But I'm embarrassed for the writer as well. Stephen Roderick, who normally does profiles on artists and celebrities like Sting, Chris Rock, Tom Petty. And when he does politics, it's either Martin O'Malley from the far left of the Democratic Party or takedowns of Mike Pence, a Republican. So we know his politics going into it. But look at the headline that they actually put on this. Justin Trudeau, the North Star. He was raised in a jet-set privilege but overcame tragedy to become Canada's Prime Minister. Is he the free world's best hope? Really? Really? This is what they're coming up with at Rolling Stone? Once upon a time, Rolling Stone was known for hard-hitting journalism, tough reporting pieces, but as we all remember, that fell apart a long time ago, long before they ran a cover story talking about rape at a university, a mass rape that never happened. Rolling Stone's in trouble now, especially when their writer, Stephen Roderick, puts out lines like this. For Trudeau, listening is seducing, or Justin Trudeau is the adult in the room, comparing him to Donald Trump. Look, Justin Trudeau is getting I can't use the word, can I? He's being filleted by Rolling Stone, let's put it that way. He's being filleted by a major lefty American pop culture magazine. He is getting the profile that he loves. Here's an interesting point. One, he is not going to be doing himself or Canada any favors if Donald Trump sees headlines like, why can't he be our president? That was on the front cover. It was repeated in publications that are well read on Capitol Hill, like The Hill, asking, why can't Justin Trudeau be our president? Well, if that is what the Americans are seeing going into the NAFTA negotiations, plus the Omar Khadr payout, you can bet they won't be in a good mood. But then on the Canadian side, let me ask you, this guy followed Justin Trudeau around Ottawa for a couple days. He went out to a school event in Nepean. He went out to Fredericton, rode in the car with him, other than Peter Mansbridge, and we know what kind of buddies they are. Can you name a Canadian journalist that's been given this kind of access to Trudeau? No, he loves courting the American media. Canadian media should actually be outraged at this. He avoids Canadian media in much the same way Stephen Harper did. He doesn't give all the news conferences that he promised. He gave a year-ending news conference or a session-ending news conference in June. That was the last big news conference that he'd given, or the first big news conference he'd given since December. So once every 6 months he comes out, speaks to the parliamentary press gallery, and that's good enough suddenly. But American journalists, at the same time, by the way, this guy was there for the big session-ending news conference. American journalists get to ride around in his entourage with him in Fredericton, in Nepean, suburb of Ottawa. They get to go to events with him. It's all very strange, it's all very cozy, but it's because Justin Trudeau doesn't actually like the hard work of governing. Look, Stephen Roderick doesn't give any nuggets of Canadian policy away in this speech. He writes glowingly about legalizing marijuana, and he writes glowingly about how progressive Trudeau is, but he doesn't take him on for any of the problems he'd be facing. That's what a Canadian journalist would do. Even ones from the media party would at some point ask tough questions, other than Peter Mansbridge, who might just say, hey, we've got the same tie and you're riding a bus. That's Mansbridge's contribution here. But Justin Trudeau doesn't like that because he doesn't like governing. He doesn't like answering questions from the little people. He likes the adulation, and that's what Stephen Roderick provides here. He provides the adulation that Trudeau craves, that he needs. If you're a casual American reader who doesn't know much about Trudeau, there's some interesting stuff in there. Stuff that we've all heard before. The story of his father passing away, the eulogy, all of that is actually riveting stuff. Justin Trudeau has an interesting personal story. I'll grant you that. We've all heard it 1,000 times before in Canada. The Americans haven't. But did it take days and days of special privilege access to get that kind of story out there? Or could he have just cribbed it from somewhere on the internet, done a sit-down interview with him the way that Canadian media get, 10 minutes and you're out? Did it require days and days of following him around? I think that the Canadian media should be outraged. They should be starting to turn on Trudeau because on so many fronts, he hasn't provided the openness, the transparency that he's promised. On access to information, he's actually clamping down. When it comes to media access, is he really any better than Stephen Harper? He goes to the National Press Theatre. Big whoop, Stephen Harper used to go to the foyer of the House of Commons. The only difference is you can't get simultaneous translation in the House of Commons. So Justin Trudeau has failed on all the fronts that the media cared about, their access to him. But he's granting it to the Americans, at least the ones that are willing to do what Stephen Roderick did. Take a dive in the middle of a fight like you're Patrick Brazeau. Just dive in the middle of the fight and don't worry about it. Just give him what he wants. That's what Justin Trudeau's looking for. That's why these people get the interviews. And that's why you get the glowing, pour more maple syrup on it profiles that Rolling Stone provided today. If you like the Rebel video you just watched, make sure you never miss another one. Again, click here to subscribe.